up everyone, UFC 305 is this Saturday, so I thought I'll give my predictions. I'm only going to be making predictions for the main card because I'm a big fat casual. And to start off this main card, we have Li Jingliang taking on Carlos Prates, and I'm going to go with Carlos for this one. I just think Jingliang's he's been out for too long. He hasn't fought for 2 years. He's 36, he's getting there in age now. Carlos Prates, I think his last few fights have all been by finish. He's been quite active. His leg kicks are good. He seems quite powerful. I just think this is quite a hard fight to come back to after a 2-year layoff. After this, we have Tai Tuivasa taking on Jairzinho Rozenstruik. And I think this is Rozenstruik's. I don't see anyone really picking Tuivasa to win this. He hasn't won a fight since the start of 2022. Ever since then, he's just lost fight after fight after fight. And his last outing, he lost to Tai Bora, which was earlier this year. Rozenstruik, he beat Shamil Gaziev. And I just think Rozenstruik's simply a better fighter. I actually think that Tai Tuivasa is going to retire after this fight. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I just think he's ate too much damage. I think he loves his food, his drink, so he'll carry on eating more, and he'll prefer eating food compared to eating damage inside the octagon. I think this is Rozenstruik's, and I think Tai Tuivasa will get finished in the second round, and I think he'll retire afterwards. Then have Mateusz Gamrot taking on Dan Hooker, and this is a hot take, but I think Dan Hooker's going to win by knockout. Now, hear me out. I think Gamrot is the better fighter, and 9 times out of 10, I do believe that Gamrot wins. However, I just have this feeling that Hooker's going to knock him out. And this is mainly because a very washed and old Rafael dos Anjos was able to drop and hurt Gamrot in his last outing, which was like March this year. Wasn't too long ago. I just think Dan Hooker's going to be able to catch him as he comes in. I just see it happening. Dan Hooker's got that dog in him. I can't see Gamrot getting a finish or anything. I think it'll go to decision if Gamrot is able to pick up the victory. But I think Dan Hooker is going to get the knockout over Gamrot. Maybe this is just me manifesting it because I really don't like Gamrot. I think he's so boring. He's just very ready, salty crisps. He's very boring. And Dan Hooker, he's got that dog in him. He's very entertaining. So I really want him to shut his lights out. But I do actually think there's a possibility of that. Again, if RDA, who's very past it at this point, can, the pensioner version of RDA can drop you, I do believe that Dan Hooker can do so at this stage in his career. So I've got Dan Hooker by first round knockout. We then move on to the co-main event, which is between Kai Kara-France and Steve Erceg. And I think that Steve Erceg is going to win this fight. And I think he's going to absolutely outclass Kai Kara-France. I do rate Kai Kara-France, don't get me wrong. I feel like he loses his big matchups, other than like the Cody Garbrandt one, but that's more name value. But he's been out the octagon for like a year or so now as well. He's had a bit of a long layoff. Erceg, he's just lost a competitive close fight to the champion Pantoja, and a lot of people have been just getting smothered by Pantoja. I'm talking about Royval and Moreno. And Erceg, he's been the closest one to beating him so far. And I feel like, he only had like a few fights in the UFC. He was ranked 10 as well. And no one was really expecting Erceg to do that well against Pantoja. And he was able to do so. And I feel like that loss is going to proper light a fire under Erceg. I feel like it's really going to get him motivated to get that title. I feel like he now knows he can beat, but his mindset will be like, oh, I can beat Pantoja. I know I can do it. I just need to get there again. And I don't think Kai Kara-France is going to be that person that's going to get in the way of Steve Erceg and prevent him from getting to a title shot again. I don't see it happening. I rate Kai Kara-France. I just don't think it's going to work out for him. I see Steve Erceg having quite a comfortable decision win against Kai Kara-France. I think it will be quite entertaining as well. I'm not saying that Erceg doesn't take any damage or anything. I think Kai Kara-France, he has that dog in him as well. He's a striker. I do think he'll put in somewhat of a good showing for himself, but ultimately I don't think it's going to be enough against Steve Erceg, and I am very looking forward to this co-main event. And then finally, we have the main event between Dricus du Plessis and Israel Adesanya, and I do feel like this is a 50-50. I've seen so many people say Israel Adesanya is going to smoke him, and I've seen a lot of people say that Dricus du Plessis is going to walk through Israel Adesanya. I think that Dricus du Plessis is going to win this fight by decision. I think it'll be quite competitive, but I can see it being like a 49-46 in Dricus du Plessis' favour. I just think he mixes it up so well. I think he's going to keep Israel Adesanya guessing. He doesn't really know what's going to be happening. You know, he goes at a crazy pace. I've seen people say, oh, well, Adesanya has great cardio. Yeah, but it's a bit different because he fights at his own pace. He doesn't really go at this crazy, frantic pace like Dricus does. He goes at his own pace where he throws singular shots, you know, not much output. Whereas Dricus is the opposite end of that. You know, crazy output, crazy pace, always on the front foot. Yes, I've seen people say, oh, well, Dricus is very sloppy. His striking is very sloppy. I do agree. I think most people can agree that Dricus has sloppy striking, but it works for him. And I think people actually maybe think too much of it. I don't think it's as sloppy as people make out. Yeah, it's a sloppy shit of a striking technique, but it works for him. It works really well for him, as we've seen against the likes of Whittaker, Strickland, Darren Till, Brunson. You know, it's worked against some decent names. And I think it'll work against Adesanya. I think if he keeps it on the feet, I think Adesanya will have his moments. But I think if Dricus mixes it in with his grappling, then that's when I really see a great performance from Dricus. He seems to mix it in against everyone. I believe he's taking down Whittaker, Brunson, Strickland. Even if he doesn't do much of those takedowns, it just gives something for Adesanya to be more hesitant about and, you know, be more wary about. And, oh, well, I don't want to do this because I might get taken down. And he not only that, but Dricus throws very unorthodox combinations. Well, he throws like a 1-2 inside leg kick followed by like a right hook. He just throws many different combinations you wouldn't really see that often. He's a very unique and strange style to come across, and it's very hard to prepare for. And not only that, but Dricus is a very big bloke. You know, he's quite wide, he's quite built, unlike Adesanya. And obviously, I'm not going to say he's going to beat him because he's bigger than him. I've gave other reasons why, but I'm just saying it is a fact, especially when it comes to like the grappling side of things. I just think Dricus has got this. I could be proven wrong. I know how good Adesanya is. Adesanya is not shit. I think he's great. But I think Dricus is going to win. And those are my predictions for UFC 305. I think it's just an okay pay-per-view. But let me know what you think in the comments. I will be doing a watch-along for this pay-per-view on my Twitch and on my TikTok live. So if you want to join along for the watch-along, make sure to do so. Let me know what your thoughts are on UFC 305. Give me your predictions. Thank you for watching the video. And I'll see you in the next one.